Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am not a comedy guy. I am Gen Z, unfortunately, not happy, not proud. But I do know a good film when I see one, and I have to say Naked Gun actually really surprised me. Now, I am going to be completely honest with you. I cannot stand comedy films. I've tried, especially the last 10 years that I've been in theaters and have had some sort of awareness for what is actually funny in a film. They just don't land, and most of the time, it just makes me cringe. And I think we all have experienced that lately with the big movies we see in theaters, whether we're talking about the ridiculous Marvel humor we get, Superman, how they were just shoving hilarious moments down your throat every waking moment, or Happy Gilmore 2, which is made by one of the legacy greats in comedy, Adam Sandler. I love Billy Madison, I love Happy Gilmore, I love Click, I love so many of the old films, yet that film did not land anything like the original did. And here we are with Naked Gun with Liam Neeson, and you gotta ask the question, does it harken back to that time where everything was just gold in comedy, right? It sort of does. Now, I haven't seen the original Naked Gun, but I'm very familiar with that timeline. Back then, we had so many great comedies, like a few I just named. And this really took me back to the first few times I watched some of my favorite comedy films back at home, because I'm too young, unfortunately, to have seen them in theaters. I'm 23 years old, I'm Gen Z, and comedies really just aren't my thing. But with Naked Gun, there's a few things that really surprised me about this film that I'm excited to get with you today and not spoil anything, even though there's really not much to spoil here, except just a few funny moments, of course. But before I get into it, though, I'd really appreciate your support. If you gave me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. So quickly, what makes this work is simply Liam Neeson. I didn't imagine that he could play the comedy role so well. One of my favorite films of all time is Schindler's List, Steven Spielberg's Schindler's List. I hope you've seen it, because of course it's an instant classic, bleak, sad, dramatic, and he is just flawless in that film. Just A-game, A-plus performance from start to finish. This is the complete opposite of that. And this, of course, is sort of poking fun at all of his more serious roles, of course, because, you know, he's the vengeful father, he's the Taken guy. And here, it's like, you know, this is the dumbest, most ridiculous form of Liam Neeson in Taken. And it's so funny because we're so used to that role with him. And now here we are in this film, and it's just a complete, ridiculous flip on its head of that character. It's so funny. Plays it so well. And, you know, I didn't think I'd be a big fan of like the dry response, dry humor like this, but my gosh, you know, you couldn't really pay me to laugh at a lot of the new comedy films that have been coming out, and a lot of the jokes that are just kind of peppered in most Marvel films. You couldn't pay me to laugh, because it's impossible for me to fall for that stuff. But while I was watching this, I was just time and time again laughing out loud. Hilarity. It was so funny. I couldn't believe it. And all of this has to do with Liam Neeson. He really delivered just an incredible performance here. So I was very pleased to see that. And, you know, his co-star Pamela Anderson, who I am completely unfamiliar with. It turns out, I guess, the two are dating now, which is interesting. I was very impressed. They had a great chemistry. They were both equally funny, and they played off each other so well. You know, you gotta have a great counterpart, and this girl, she really fueled the fire with this film as well. And of course, this film would suffer if it didn't have truly clever material and timing, which is what this movie does so well. You know, timing is key when it comes to comedy. It's key. That's what's so special about Cable Guy, right? You think back to some of the most crazy, wild moments with Jim Carrey as Cable Guy, and all of it is because of timing, with timing and reactionary performance. You know, seeing other characters involved and seeing the way they react and the world reacts around them. And this movie does that so well. Especially, you'll get to a scene when you're watching this movie where Liam Neeson is being spied on by this evil dude, and he's looking at him through these night vision goggles, and you get a little glimpse of that in the trailer. But it's insane what comes forward in this scene, where it looks like, you know, some really dirty stuff is happening in that room, but it's not actually what it appears to be. And they go so far with it, which is also surprising with a PG-13, is it doesn't care. It doesn't care. It doesn't have a filter. It gives you some raw entertainment, and it comments. It just makes the dumbest jokes possible, which were so fun. It makes dick jokes. It makes fart jokes. And it, you know, it goes a little far, and it gets dark. It gets pretty dark, and it embraces that. And it's hilarious when it does, but it's not too far. It's the perfect blend of those things. And trust me, I can't believe I'm even hyping up a comedy film, because it really doesn't make any sense coming from me, because I am obviously not the target audience when it comes to this stuff. So I think this will mostly actually appeal to older audiences as well, but it also appeals to younger audiences because, I hate to say it, this film, just like a lot of new films, it does cut the camera shots pretty frequently. But it doesn't do it too much. It's nothing like Superman, my gosh. But at the same time, it has the same sort of sensitivity and direction like an older classic 90s comedy film does. And I really felt like this was one of those times where I was in the theater watching one of the old releases re-released on the big screen. That's what it felt like with this. And that's the greatest compliment I can give a film, is that sort of respect. Because, of course, they just don't make movies like they used to. And then, of course, finally, the story is just light and fun to follow, and it's not too complicated. Clearly, that's not the point of this. And, a billion gaffes happen along the way. But simply, without spoiling anything, the story is Liam Neeson, of course, he is Detective Frank Drebin Jr., the son of Frank Drebin Sr. from the original Naked Gun films. And he is investigating the murder of this man who is the brother of Pamela Anderson. She doesn't believe that he actually offed himself in this situation, even though that's what it was sort of framed to be. So Frank Drebin, he teams up with her, and they try to unravel this mystery. And along the way, a lot of crazy stuff happens. And, they are both pretty stupid, and they both do some really idiotic things. But the world around them is also equally stupid. So you see this just idiot world with idiot people focused on two idiot characters just fall apart and assemble themselves back together. It's really fun to see. And they are finding a lot of the ties to this murder to this big tech mogul. Ooh, Danny Houston. It's probably him, right? Obviously, it's going to be him. And it's hilarious, his whole side of the story and his evil cabal of characters. For the rest of the film, the two are just trying to find evidence to support that it's this dude. And, tragedy ensues, chaos unfolds, and we are met with an incredible story that you are definitely going to enjoy. So yes, this is made for pretty much everybody. It's definitely made for dudes. It's bringing us back to the movies where a guy can enjoy some entertainment. Finally, a man can actually turn something on, and it's made for a dude. Can't remember the last time that happened. I think the ladies will enjoy this too, but it's just guy humor. It's fun. It's just like Dumb and Dumber and Cable Guy. Take us back to the times where you could just say anything. You could say anything, joke about anything, and have fun. And that's where we are again. And we need that so badly. I just can't believe how far we've fallen from that simple concept. Clearly, they make movies for the ladies. That's totally fine. Barbie is for girls. I can't stand Barbie. I never will like it, but it's made for them. Why can't we have our movies too? And this movie was simply a reminder of that pleasure I used to have while watching some of the greatest films that were made for guys. So if you're interested in checking this movie out, definitely let me know in the comments below. I hope I sold you on watching this, because this is the kind of movie we really need nowadays. But if you liked what I had to say today, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It really makes a big difference. And share with anybody you know that may be interested in checking out Naked Gun, because honestly, the marketing for this, it kind of confused me, and I wasn't sure if this was going to land, but it absolutely does. You're going to have a great time. So go check out the movie. I'll see you later.